Mun työni on psykoterapiaa ja tässä työssä mä käytän lähinnä hahmoterapian ja transpersonaalisen psykoterapian menetelmiä ja ne on vielä aika harvinaisia Suomessa. Mä työskentelen pääasiallisesti aivan tavallisten ongelmien kanssa, erilaisten ahdistusten, masennusten, perheongelmien, paniikkihäiriön, impotenssin, mustasukkaisuuden ja erilaisten vaikeuksien kanssa. Mä aion näyttää pari kuvaa, jotka kertovat näiden ihmisten tunteista. Esimerkiksi nämä kaksi kuvaa kertovat hyvin sen, minkälaisia tunteita ihmiset pitävät sisällään. Kauhua, raivoa, masennusta, yksinäisyyttä. Yksi totuus, joka tällä hetkellä kielletään, on kohdunaikaisten kokemusten ja syntymäkokemuksen vaikutus ihmisiin. Ne halutaan väittää humpuukiksi tai mielikuvitukseksi. Tästä kuvasta näkyy selvästi, miltä lapsesta tuntuu kohdussa. Hän on valmistautumassa synnytykseen. Hän menee kohti tuota tunnelia. Siellä ovat käärmeet uhkaamassa häntä ja hänen elämäänsä. Tämä symbolinen käärmeen suuhun joutuminen, murskatuksi joutuminen, kuvaa sitä, miten jotkut lapset kokevat oman syntymänsä. He joutuvat ikään kuin tämmöisen hirviön murskaamiksi. Syntymäkokemus on rusentava, murskaava. Käytännössä terapiassa noin joka kolmas ihminen pitkän terapian aikana ajautuu syntymäkokemukseen. Miten tällainen on mahdollista? Lääketiede sanoo, että ihmisen muistikeskukset eivät ole kehittyneet niin pitkälle, että lapsi voisi muistaa oman syntymänsä. Tällä hetkellä oletetaan, että kyseessä on jonkinlainen kehomuisti, solumuisti. Kenties jonakin päivänä lääketieteemme tulee selvittämään sen, mikä se mekanismi on, jolla ihminen muistaa tämän totuutensa syntymisestä. Usein syntymäkokemus on se, joka aktivoi ihmisillä myöskin mystisiä kokemuksia, kokemuksia hirviöistä. Kohtukokemukset saattavat aktivoida avaruudellisia kokemuksia, eräänlaisia ufokokemuksia, hirviöitä, takaajajia, demoneita ja niin edelleen. Olen noin 20 vuotta tehnyt psykoterapiaa ja siinä aikana ihmisten ongelmien rinnalla olen kohdannut suunnattoman määrän erilaisia paranormaaleja asioita, erilaisia avaruudellisia kokemuksia, ihmisten sisäisiä kokemuksia. Ja meillä on yleisessä tiedossa, että tuolla Amerikan mantereilla on olemassa niin sanottu SETI-ohjelma, joka tarkoittaa älyllisen elämän etsimistä avaruudesta. Tämän SETI-ohjelman rinnalle ehdotan SSTI-ohjelmaa, joka tarkoittaa maanpäällisen älyn etsimistä, eli Search for Supra-Terrestrial Intelligence. Ja ehdotan, että tähän ohjelmaan laitetaan paljon enemmän varoja, sillä maanpäällisen älyn löytäminen voi todella olla hankalampaa kuin avaruudesta löytyvän älyn.
The universe is 20,000 million years old. I'm convinced that there is other intelligent life in the galaxy. Many of my fellow scientists are of the same opinion, states Professor of Astronomy Stuart Bowyer of the University of California, a member of the Extraterrestrial Intelligence Project SETI. Bowyer maintains that there could be at least 1 million planets in the galaxy where intelligent life exists. The absolute limit on the transfer of information is the speed of light. One often wonders what other ways of communicating there might be apart from radio signals, Bowyer ponders, and offers the ideas of telepathy and the fourth dimension. Physicists already in theory know of 20 dimensions. Bowyer gives us a simple guideline. Let's begin by examining the universe that we already know exists. The universe lives all the time. Life is continuously being created and terminated. The crash of a huge comet on Jupiter in the summer of 1994 serves as a reminder of this. Any one of the fragments accompanying the comet was capable of destroying Earth. In what way could life have begun on Earth other than in accordance with either the Bible's account of creation or Darwin's.
Meidän aurinkomme on Andronoverin tähtösumun lapsia. 5 miljardia vuotta sitten se oli liekehtivä tulipallo, jota lähestyi Angonan suuri avaruuskappale. Tullessaan tarpeeksi lähelle sitä, se repäisi auringosta tulikielekkeitä, imemättä niitä kuitenkaan itseensä. Ja näin syntyi eräänlainen planeettakunnan alku aurinkoamme kiertämään. Joka 6. planeetta paikallisuniversumimme alueella on kokeiluplaneetta. Se tarkoittaa, että täällä pyritään valmistamaan entistä parempaa ihmisrotua. Maapallo on yksi näistä desimaaliplaneetoista, jossa kokeillaan 2 aivoista keskihengittävää ruokasuolaelämää. Tämä tarkoittaa, että ruokasuola on se informaatiojärjestelmä, joka tuottaa meille varsinaisen sähkökemiallisen pohjamme. Keskihengittävyys kertoo meidän elämämme intensiteetistä. Ylihengittävät eläisivät nopeammin, alihengittävät, heidän täytyy saada energia suoraan auringosta. Ja 2-aivoisuus kuvaa intelligenssimme laatua. Kerrotaan, että 3-aivoisissa on ollut ongelmia ja 1-aivoisilla ei ole kyetty saamaan riittävää intelligenssiä henkistä nousua varten. Tämä kertoo toisaalta ihmisen henkisen kehityksen lähtökohdat. Meillä on riittävä mielikapasiteetti, jonka tarkoitus on kehittyä henkikapasiteetiksi luojalta saamamme ajatuksen suuntaajan myötä. Ajatuksen suuntaajan ja mielemme yhteistyö muodostaa sielun, joka on nousun taivaaseen nousun alkuaste-entiteetti. Tarkoituksemme on kasvaa täällä aineessa, taimistossa, jatkaa kasvuamme valmistelumaailmoissa, mansiomaailmoissa ja aikanaan puhtaana henkenä palata tuomaan palautetta luojallemme siitä, kuinka hänen työnsä on onnistunut.
Meitä tähtiläisiä on täällä maan päällä paljon. Muun muassa minä olen tehnyt paljon astraalimatkoja eri planeetoille. Esimerkiksi Siriukselle, koska olen sieltä kotoisin. Olen jälleen syntynyt maahan kaukaa Siriusplaneetalta. Sieltä minä olen tullut. Siellä ovat vanhempani, isoisäni, oma sisareni. Kuulun 3. enkelihierarkiaan. Sieltä synnyin Siriusplaneetalle. Sieltä maahan, koska minulle annettiin tehtävä tulla tänne maan päälle kertomaan kosmisista asioista ja elämästä maailmankaikkeudessa ja elämästä, joka on ihmisille mysteeri.
Salyut 6 and Soyuz 9 orbited the Earth together from June to November 1978. On the 17th of June, cosmonauts Vladimir Kovalyonok and Alexander Ivanchenov sighted a UFO. In space, they held the following conversation about what they had seen.
Наблюдал за ним, увеличил свои размеры и яркость, а потом ушел туда. Похоже, его надо. Это орбита или прости потери. Форму вы его так не можете писать. Здесь сейчас я влюбился.
Я встречался с одним каким-то непонятным объектом, но не во время космического полета, а во время перелета с Вашингтона в Москву. Значит, я заметил странный объект, строго формы треугольника, вот, который летел параллельно нашему курсу нашего самолета, но выше, примерно на 1500 метров, на расстоянии примерно около километра. Шел со скоростью, если наш самолет шел 950, он где-то 1500, потому что обогнал он наш самолет и скрылся. Я обратил внимание всех пассажиров, экипажа, и мы так и не могли определить, что это за объект. Но что это не самолет, это точно. А что за объект? Просто ровный, четкий белый треугольник. Белый треугольник. Он не излучал ничего не передавал. В общем, короче говоря, настоящий, как говорится, НЛО. Это, к сожалению, единственный случай в моей жизни, когда мне пришлось столкнуться с этим непонятным явлением. Все, что пишут о том, что другие космонавты где-то видели, где-то встречались и все прочее, я, например, не очень в эти вещи верю. Вот, несмотря на то, что об этом писали неоднократно. Почему? Потому что сами космонавты, с которыми я разговаривал, и с советскими, и с американскими, они, в общем-то, не подтверждают.
One of the KGB's most interesting reports tells of a Soviet Army combat operation against UFOs in Vietnam in the summer of 1965. 3 missile batteries engaged an unidentified flying object. The UFO returned fire with a needle-thin blue ray. In an instant, the ground radar, launch platforms and all metal objects were reduced to smoldering scrap iron. 200 personnel were killed. The UFO vanished silently into space.
Мое имя Владимир Авинский. Я председатель Самарского клуба уфологов и директор Центра нетрадиционных исследований «Альфа». Ночью в 0 часов вблизи города Самара на военном радиолокационном объекте был зафиксирован радарами вот такой треугольный предмет. От него исходили вверх лучи. Этот предмет приземлился вблизи этой станции, и неожиданно исчезли 2 часовых. Когда они вернулись через 1,5-2 часа, то на оружии оказались стертыми номера. Радиолокационные средства зафиксировали этот объект, потом он распался на отдельные части, очень яркие, и специалисты утверждают, что это отражение от каких-то материальных предметов, чуть ли не с кобальтовым покрытием. Далее этот объект приземлился, и в ответ на прощупывание его радарами он выпустил мощный импульс в сторону антенны локатора и сжег ее. Антенна была разрушена, возник большой переполох на военном объекте, антенна горела, локатор был разрушен, часовые пропали. Полное сенсационное событие на военном секретном объекте вблизи города Самары. Когда вернулись пропавшие солдаты, когда объект улетел, обнаружили, что на поле, где он приземлился, был помят большой огород. Какой-то мощный объемный взрыв или мощный объемный пресс повлиял на поверхность земли и на растения. Это событие совершенно уникальное, но оно имело продолжение. Над Самарой очевидцы наблюдали аналог этого объекта. Вот такой треугольный предмет с огнями и с такими импульсами, выражающими движение. Далее домашняя хозяйка наблюдала вот такой объект из окна своего дома. Это над городом Самарой, над крупнейшим населенным промышленным центром.
In the 1980s, the Soviet Defense Ministry ordered army units to investigate all UFO incidents and report them to the KGB. With the end of the Cold War, UFO researchers too have been able to study Secret Service and military intelligence reports from various countries. Over a period of 3 years, the databank of Russia's leading UFO publication, Terminator, has collected a good 3,000 reports of UFOs and a large number of sensational photographs. Analysis of the report reveals that UFOs have appeared in large numbers during politically difficult times. According to researchers, sunspots and related atmospheric disturbances have increased at such times. Russian UFO investigators say that the next restless period will occur at the turn of the century, when many UFOs will appear. According to Professor Vladimir Azhaja, head of the Russian UFO Research Center, ufology includes the study of human interaction with other forms of intelligence. Russian researchers are also seeking a solution to the problems of time and dimension associated with UFOs. Time at the edge of a revolving UFO is different from time at its central point. The time difference eliminates gravity. Azhaja has personally encountered UFOs and beings from space.
Да, приходилось трижды. Причем 2 раза это был НЛО в полете, и 1 раз у меня был близкий контакт по классификации профессора Хайнека. Причем существо, с которым я контактировал, имело рост около 90 сантиметров и было бледным и невзрачным, отдаленно напоминающим вот такого вот пришельца, которого я держу в руках. Ну, никто не проводил сравнительного анализа количества документов, имеющих у американцев и у нас, но мне представляется, что там документов накоплено гораздо больше, потому что эта проблема у нас была засекречена, была под запретом, и это сказалось на накоплении документов. Когда эти архивы будут открыты, они уже начали открываться. Недавно мы получили 1200 документов из бывшего КГБ, которые они рассекретили и передали нам. Мы ожидаем поступления других документов. Ну, наверное, это общая манера поведения любого правительства. Все новое вначале засекречивается, и оттуда пытается извлечь какие-то элементы новой технологии, новой тактики, связанные с повышением обороноспособностей, со строительством вооруженных сил. Это одна сторона вопроса. А потом вторая социологическая, чтобы новые информации не вносить какую-либо смуту в общество. Я хочу сказать, что вот за 2 дня до отъезда НЛО наблюдался в Москве над Ленинским проспектом, причем недалеко от того места, где были кровавые события 1 мая. Ну, это было зависание НЛО в ночное время. По нашей статистике, каждый год похищается без возврата неопознанными летающими объектами не менее 5500 человек. Такая статистика совершенно железная и неумолимая. Причем в основном похищаются люди молодого возраста. Нужна молодая фактура.
Я понимаю, что современный уровень науки объяснить не может это явление. И я, например, знаю о том, что и Российская академия наук сейчас ставит вопрос довольно серьезно. Ну, я, например, знаю о том, что мне в прошлом году из КГБ прислали целую вот такую папку писем, сообщений, там и контактеры, и очевидцев, которые наблюдали описание всех этих случаев, очень и очень многих.
UFOs are a worldwide problem. In recent years, they've been a key issue in the news media in the United States. One of the most recent talking points has been Harvard University psychiatrist John Mack's study of more than 100 cases of abduction by UFOs.
Recent developments of interest here in the United States among researchers like myself and colleagues of mine is the apparent abduction or capture of up to 5 American F-14 Tomcat jet fighters by alien vehicles commonly known as UFOs. These captures began in September of 1988 when we lost the first F-14 fighter jet, Navy fighter jet, to action by a UFO. Then a couple months later in December of 1988, we had 2 F-14 Tomcat jet fighters captured by a large delta-shaped craft over Cabo Rojo, the southwest corner of Puerto Rico. Then later, in 1989, in January, we lost another 2 F-14 Tomcat fighters believed to be involved in pursuit of UFOs over the Cabo Rojo area of southwest Puerto Rico.
In 1947, the Second World War was not long over, and the CIA was established. A UFO exploded and crashed in New Mexico. There were dozens of eyewitnesses. The United States Army took possession of the wreckage of the UFO and placed a secrecy ban on all related information. Soon afterwards, President Harry Truman ordered the establishment of the top-secret Majestic 12 group. Its task was to coordinate U.S. security against a threat from space. The group was given the job of secret UFO investigations. The Army collected the remnants of the crashed UFO. The bodies of 4 space beings were found in the wreckage. One of the humanoids was still alive when soldiers transported them to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. President Eisenhower set up the Robertson Commission, which was to be under CIA control. It was assigned to protect the United States from UFOs and conceal from the public all information about them. There are claims that Eisenhower met with space beings at Lake Maroc in spring 1954. The U.S. government and the space beings are said to have made an agreement under which the Greys, as the group were known, would provide the United States with space technology and would be allowed in return to carry out genetic tests on humans. U.S. defense technology has developed flying saucer-like aircraft. In a top-secret area in Nevada stands the closely guarded military research center, Area 51. Here, it is claimed, saucer-like flying vehicles have been tested in collaboration with humanoids. U.S. aerospace technology has developed new super aircraft which are undetectable by radar. The superplanes achieve speeds of almost 9,000 kilometers per hour. The tailplane has been entirely removed from the models of the future. The UFO cover-up in the United States has entered a new phase. Is the government finally relaxing its strategy based on national security? Pressure on the government is growing. Recently, Congressman Stephen Schiff demanded information on the almost half-century of UFO cover-up policy.
There's every reason to believe that there was at least one live alien at the 2 crash sites in New Mexico in July 1947. And that, of course, if there was a live alien, he was examined by the U.S. government officials. There were certainly dead bodies which were also examined. Whether there is an agreement between aliens and the U.S. government, I've heard all kinds of rumors. I simply do not know. It's in my gray basket. Maybe. We don't know. So I believe there is overwhelming evidence that the original MJ-12 documents and some new ones recently received are genuine. All kinds of claims of fraud have been made. None of these have been substantiated. I've written a 108-page report about the documents that lists more than 30 pieces of information that were not known before my research and which nobody on the outside could have known. I even have the opinions of people who worked for President Truman that the documents are most likely genuine. We don't really know. There is one slight indication of a change in government policy. The National Security Agency, which spends about $10 billion a year in secret in the U.S., listening in on communications from all over the world, has in the past refused to release any of its many UFO documents. It admitted they had them, but it refused to release them. I have recently heard, within the last 2 weeks, that they have notified a researcher who filed a Freedom of Information request for their UFO documents that they would be sending him more than 200 such documents. If that's the case, somebody has changed his view somewhere. The Soviet government, on the other hand, has been more open, and a number of documents have been released, official military documents from the Soviet Union. That may encourage America to release some of its information.
President Clinton and UFO investigators held secret talks in the winter of 1993-94. Why?
You have to remember that up till now, most of the contact that's been made has been unorganized, anecdotal, and episodic. And it is time for the civilian community, not the military, but the civilian community of the world to begin to take this seriously and to take responsibility for researching this and for making contact. Our assessment is that these are real. We are not alone, and that there is overwhelming evidence that this is the case. They need to know that we have, in the United States, extraterrestrial spacecraft and bodies that have been retrieved. They need to know that there have been major sightings involving tens of thousands of people in Belgium. They need to know that in Mexico that there is to this day overflights in daylight and at night of disc-shaped and triangular craft that are clearly of extraterrestrial origin. So we need to bring this information to a world population. Up to this point, I have to say that the government has been unwilling to discuss this for national security, technological, and other reasons, mainly dealing with panic in society. But the civilian community has not been acting in a responsible way in how it has been speaking of this subject, because the worst thing that would happen would be to bring this information out in a way that would panic society and which could cause people to lose hope for the future. And I think that we have to be responsible in what we are saying and doing. And this is a very key point to this second phase of the Sea City project, is that our intentions to brief world leadership and to brief the world are to do it in a way that are non-harmful to the consciousness of humanity.
In 1972, a high-ranking CIA official, Victor Marchetti, published an article on the CIA's analysis of UFOs. He concluded that the fact that Earth is visited by beings who are more developed than we are could upset the traditional power structure, destroy political, religious, and economic institutions, and lead our civilization into anarchy. All this will not inevitably happen, but it will create apprehension about the future among the leaders of the major powers. These fears will be realized when ufological secrets are inflated into issues of national security. Since 1952, the CIA has studied human reactions when faced by an enemy. Secret tests have been conducted using electromagnetic energy. The CIA's brainwashing or mind control program is known as MGM Ultra. It is secret, like the military technology base Area 51 in the Nevada desert.
Concerning the Area 51, I don't know a great deal about that area, and I have a number of friends that go out there all the time and check it and so on. But basically, I spent 2 years in the Central Intelligence Agency, and some things that do bother me about that is if you want to hide something, you're the military or a government agency or anything, and you want to hide something, the best way to do that is to create something else for someone else to see. We've done this in the company before in covert operations. It's an excellent way of doing that. And the best way to also cover it better is to, of course, leak secrets about it and make sure that those are confirmed secrets and that only pieces of that can be known with these reliable sources and so on. And what you, in effect, end up seeing is something quite unusual or something that's different than what it is that they're actually trying to hide. That would be my sense of it. I have no proof of that. But that's just my experience from being in the company myself back in the Vietnam War, 1968 to 71. I think the UFO cover-up situation, I think is primarily an American thing, and I hate to say that, but other countries are quite forward with their ideas and views and coming forward with their information. Even the Russians now are giving remarkable information to George Knapp, and he's bringing back some remarkable things apparently. The cover-up is going to end when someone finally literally throws the evidence up on the table. When that happens, the government and everyone else is going to have to come forward. Let me give you just a scenario. Suppose someone had an alien and tossed a sucker up on the table. When that happens, someone's going to come forward in America to arrest that individual. That's going to tell you who is hiding what at that point. That's a real important thing to think about. So our primary area of work is in getting physical evidence. We have several implants and other things. We're uncovering evidence all the time. Ultimately, we think we'll find a good, literally a body of evidence. When that is placed in the public domain, government entities and others are going to come forward. These are then the people who are in fact responsible for covering things up, because they're going to be the ones to come forward to arrest you or cover it up or threaten you. Those are the people that will really be guilty. So I think, in a nutshell, that basically The aliens can't be controlled. The government's going to spin the information and convince you that they are. They are not, in fact, in control. No one is.
I am a contactee. I am not an abductee. I willingly go. I want to help. I find it fascinating, and I feel that it is important that other souls who are also having these experiences try to come forth with the information, because we are not being told the entire story by our governments. The crafts that I have been into, one of the motherships that I go to is called Atlantia. It is approximately 250 miles long. It has a population of it, from what I understand, of anywhere from 150 to 500,000 beings at one particular time. It is completely self-sufficient. It needs nothing. My last contact was 2.5 weeks ago in North County, San Diego. And ladies and gentlemen, I have had the opportunity to converse with the Andromedans regarding much UFO information that is circulating throughout the UFO community. And one of the things that I have been able to do is to verify where many of the alien bases, or joint alien-human bases, are on the world. And I have in front of me a
The
map.
CIA has a department for the spread of disinformation. It is at least as big as the department for the collection of UFO data. The CIA makes it difficult to distinguish between genuine and false information about cooperation between itself and UFOs and about its secret bases. UFO investigators are, however, stationed in the areas where there is much UFO activity.
Iran, in the middle of the Iranian desert. Tibet, high in the mountains of the Himalayas. Narvik, in Scandinavia, near a military base. Africa, there are 2 in Egypt. 1 in Algeria, near Tahat. 1 in the Sudan. Okay, there are 2 in Australia. 1 south of Alice Springs called Pine Gap, and another in the Great Victoria Desert. These are both built by the CIA of the United States. And the government there and the aliens are both operating both these bases. Okay, now I'd like to go to South America, to the country of Brazil. Also, along the Andes Mountains in Chile, Peru, Bolivia, Argentina. There are many bases as well in the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to show you where they are in North America and the United States. State of Montana, Red Mountain. In Nevada, Black Rock Desert. And the other in the Kawich Mountain Range, which is known as Area 51.
The abduction by a UFO of 2 shipyard workers, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, in October 1973 caused a sensation in the United States. The men were out fishing when behind them landed a cigar-shaped, silver-colored UFO, about 30 meters in length and emitting bright blue light.
On October the 11th, 1973, Calvin Parker, a friend of mine, and myself went fishing on the Pascagoula River in Pascagoula, Mississippi. It was probably a little after the sun went down in the evening, and we were fishing from a pier out into the river, and I heard some sound behind me, a hissing-like sound, and I turned and looked, and there was some kind of craft was hovering about 18 inches or 2 foot above the ground, and Calvin had turned by this time. He was looking at the same object. There was blue lights up on the end that was toward us, which I'm assuming was the front, and a door, a sliding door, I assume, appeared there, and there was a brilliant light that came outside of the door, and 3 things, I found out later, were robots. They came into this beam of light and came outside, and 2 of them took hold of me, and 1 took hold of Calvin, and when they took hold of me, I felt pain in my left arm, and I seemed to rise above the ground to the height they were into the light beam, and they carried me aboard the craft, And inside the room that we were in was probably round. It was glowing from the walls and the ceiling and the walls and the floor. And these things released me, and I could move my eyes, the only thing I could move. And in front of me, something came out from the wall. It appeared to be a big eye. It moved up to in front of me in my face, and it lingered there a while, and then it moved downward. And I'm assuming it went under me and came back over the top of my head and back in front of me again. And this thing remained there a few minutes, and then it went back into the wall. And by that time, these things had come back and took hold of me, and we turned and was in the beam of light and went back outside the craft, and they released me, and I fell to the ground. It was this time I saw Calvin, and he was standing there with his arms outstretched. He appeared to be going in shock. And I made myself toward him, and before I reached him, I heard the hissing sound again, and I looked behind me and saw those blue lights, and this craft was just instantly gone. And I made my way on to Calvin, and I brought him back from going into shock, and before I could talk to him, and I tried to assure him that they hadn't done any harm to us physically. I didn't know what they had done to him mentally. These things were robots. They were about 5 foot 6 inches tall. They was gray in color. It appeared to me it looked like elephant skin. It was very wrinkled. And their arms were, they were real long in proportion to their body. Their legs remained together. They didn't have feet. It seemed to be something round where the stumps where the feet should have been. And I knew, or I know now, that these things were robots. They didn't have any indication of breathing. They didn't have any eyes. Then I found out later under deep hypnosis that there's a window to the left of that area where the eye came from in the wall, and they were living beings in that, looking through that window at me. I don't think they could come out into this atmosphere, and they had the rowboats out there to examine me. We didn't know what to do after the craft left, and in talking, we decided that we'd call Keesler Air Force Base, which is only about 25 or 30 miles from there. We called Keesler, and I called Keesler, and they told me that they didn't handle those things, that we'd have to go through our sheriff's department. So then we hesitated there. We didn't want to be called nuts and so on, but I finally decided that we needed to tell someone. I thought it might be a threat to our country.
According to FBI files, Hickson and Parker were interrogated for hours in the Jackson Sheriff's Office the following day. What made the interrogation special was the presence of 12 federal security experts, including 3 colonels, 2 lieutenant colonels, a major, and a captain, led by Colonel Amdahl, a senior medical officer. Professor James Harder's use of hypnosis and a lie detector test showed that the men were telling the truth. In the case of Hickson, the incident did not remain his only UFO contact. They have continued to this day.
Since 1973, I've been contacted many times from these beings. They've told me of world events that will happen. In fact, they told me that for a reason that communism would fall, and I told the news people about this before it did fall, and they didn't believe me. They laughed at me. We know now that communism in Russia has failed, and it's going to soon be a thing of the past. These people have told me of a major event that's going to happen in the world that's going to affect everyone. But I'm not prepared and can't talk about it at this time.
Hundreds of UFO cases have been reported in Scandinavia. The most famous incidents have been the discovery of the wreck of a UFO on Spitsbergen by 6 Norwegian Army pilots in the summer of 1952, and the Hessdalen UFO incident in northern Norway. In addition to international experts, Norwegian universities and the Army took part in the Hessdalen UFO investigations. Hundreds of UFO reports have come out of Finland too. Most UFO sightings have occurred in northern Finland, in the Pudasjärvi-Kuusamo Fell district at the turn of the 1970s. An incident that occurred at Nivala in northern Finland in August 1993 amazed UFO researchers.
15. päivä elokuuta 1993 sattui Nivalassa, Järvin kylässä, hyvin mielenkiintoinen UFO-tapaus. Vuonna 1920 syntynyt nainen havaitsi takapihalle antavasta ikkunasta loimattavan tulenpunaista valoa. Hän meni katsomaan tästä ikkunasta ja havaitsi, että tämän pallon tilalle ilmaantui kolminurkkainen huone, jossa ei ollut lainkaan kattoa. Huone leijui ilmassa ja sen molemmille laidoille ilmestyivät tikanrappuset. Huonetta valaistiin valtavan voimakkailla valonheittäjiä, joita oli katossa metrin välein. Miehellä oli pieni kori vasemmassa kyynärtaipeessaan. Miehet alkoivat liikkua kuin nopeutetussa filmissä, keräten maasta näytteitä. Lopulta miehet saivat työnsä päätökseen, huone katosi ja pallo suureni. Kun pallo oli saavuttanut entiset mittansa, se katosi. UFO-tutkijat lähestyvät tätä tapausta hologrammitekniikkaa käyttäen, koska tuo havainto tehtiin huoneen kaksiruutuisen ikkunan ainoastaan toisesta ruudusta. Tarkoitus on käyttää apuna Oulun yliopiston professoroita sekä psykologeja.
Niinkö, minut herätettiin yöllä. Uutiset kuunneltiin 10 aikana ja yöllä tuli joku, kun minä nukun oikealla kyljellä. Otettiin vasemmasta olkapäästä kiinni ja joku sanoi minulle, että vähän ravisteli olkapäästä ja sanoi, että herää. Ja tuli niin kuin jostakin ämpärin pohjalta se ääni. Ja samalla kun minä aukasin silmät, ei siellä voinut kahtua. Siellä oli niin kuin olisi aurinko paistunut siellä sisällä. Ja kun minä tuun tuossa kynnyksen tykönä, niin minä katson tuonne mehtään suoraan. Niin voi mikä siellä oli. Semmonen pallo. Minä huusin minun siskolle tuonne sänkyhuoneeseen, että tuo hyvä vähän kahtoo mikä täällä on. Näetkö sä samanlaisen minkä minä näen? Ja jos tuo on kuu, niin silloin se on pudonnut ratalta alas. Ja jos se vielä puoli metriä, se oli niin kuin 3 metriä maasta yläpuolella. Jos se vielä puoli metriä laskeentuu, niin se maanvetovoima vettää ja silloin me ollaan räjähtänyt. Ja meitä ei ole varmaan aamulla yllällä enää, eikä meitä taida täällä enää ollakaan. Mä sanoin siskolle sitten, kun siltä niin rupesi nukuttamaan se 10 minuuttia siinä kaahtoon. Mä sanoin, että vaan nyt kädet kumminkin risti, että meitä ei taida enää aamulla täällä olla.
Kyllä se oli ihmeellinen paikka se, että minä silloin rupesi niin väsyttämään niin, että tuntui, että mun silmät menee väkisellä umpeen jo silloin illalla, aivan siinä 8:30 maissa. Ja minähän panin nukkumaan, niin sisko tulee sitten herättämään 1:30 aikana, että tuu kahtoo, että mikä tuolla on tuolla niin metässä. No, että onko se kuu vai mikä se oikein on. Ja minä tulin sitten ja mä sanoin, että ei tuo kuu ole, että se on niin kirkas niin, että eihän siihen voi kahtuakaan. Ja sitten mä pistin vasemman käden näin jotenkin siihen, että kun tuntui, että silmiä ottaa, se oli semmoista. Niin parin päivän päästä rupesi sitten nouseen sitten tähän semmoinen 10 senttiä, niin semmoinen palovamma. Ja sitten mä lähdin, kun se tuntuu vaan, että se kuumentaa niin kovasti, niin mä lähdin sitten tuonne Nivalan terveyskeskukseen ja mä olin siellä Pikkaraselle, sai ajaa. Ja Pikkarainen sanoi, että onko sinua joku pistänyt tuohon. Mä sanoin, että ei siihen ole mikään pistänyt. Niin mä sitten rupesin sillekin puhumaan niin, että uskooko hän noihin ufoihin ja tällä lailla, mutta ei se siihen senkaan, kyllä se kuunteli sitä vaan. Ja se antoi sitten mulle sitä antibioottia tabletteja ja minä söin ne, niin se sitten meni pois. Mutta minusta tuntuu, että sitä näkyy vieläkin vähän siinä semmoista tummaa tässä.
One remarkable feature linked to UFOs is the mutilation of cattle. Thousands of animals who have died in a strange manner have been found in various parts of the world. Unusual light phenomena have been observed in the areas concerned. The mutilation of cattle has been studied particularly closely in the United States. Incredibly skillful surgical procedures have been used to remove, for example, an eye, an ear, a tongue, or very thin lip membrane. Internal organs have been removed through tiny surgical incisions. Animals have been bled dry in a way that the researchers find incomprehensible. Reports of dissections have come from the United States, Brazil, Great Britain, and Puerto Rico.
Concerning cattle mutilations and this sort of thing in the United States, one of the things I found in the meteorological reports back in the 18th century, in the United States meteorological reports, from time to time, and there were falls, strange falls of different kinds of insects and animals and things like this, and so on, birds and so on, in massive falls in different places in the U.S. One of the things that I found that quite disturbed me was in several of the falls, not all of them certainly, but in several of them, that some of the meat had actually been sliced literally by a machine, according to the reports that I read. One of the things that disturbed me more than anything is that some of the falls were not animal mutilation or animal parts at all. It in fact was human parts that they were finding. That upset me to some degree. It raised a lot of questions about that sort of thing. I also found out that there was a brilliant doctor that realized that if cattle mutilations are going on, why not turn a black light on whenever we're running cattle through a chute and see if any of them have been marked or anything. He did, and apparently found some that were marked. I took that same idea, hopscotched off of his, and found a little portable black light that I could carry with me when I worked with abductees. You pull out a little black light, just kind of turn the lights down real low, and turn on this black light and go over their arms, their neck, their face, particularly behind their ears, and certain places where you'd normally find implants on other abductees, or if they've had shots or anything. Many times the aliens are actually using phosphorescent chemicals whenever they're injecting someone, and this will show up under a black light. This is the kind of tool we use to detect this sort of thing. Oftentimes you'll find other things like a splattering of radium, like if it were in a powder form, splattered into their hands. It'll be very brilliant. This will not be hard to find. This will be very clear. I found a Mandelbrot set on a lady's arm that indicated to me that that thing was apparently drawn there by someone else. She had no idea. Of course, this doesn't show up in regular light, only under a black light. These, you'll also find once in a great while strange formations, almost like crop circle drawn designs on these people. I do not know how they get there. Most of them are blue or a bright green, like on a black light a picture that you might shine a black light on. They'll be that brilliant. It'll be very easy to see. Some of them are actually orange. I found one the other day was orange. We were taking samples of these and trying to find out where these chemicals are actually coming from.
The Hopi Indians regard themselves as the first inhabitants of the Americas. A bright star led them to the land where they settled. The Hopi now say that the star was a flying saucer, piloted by beings they call kachinas, regarded in their religion as demigods. South America is called the continent of UFOs, where more than 30,000 UFO sightings have been made. Most of the UFO reports have come from Brazil, Argentina, Peru, and Venezuela, countries linked by the Andes Mountains. There are claims that the UFOs have secret bases hidden away in the mountains. Most of the photographs of UFOs have been taken in South America. According to researchers, South American states have top secret information which they pass on to the CIA in the United States.
Yeah, definitely the Brazilian government is hiding information about UFO sightings and contacts. And I'd say more. I'd say that half of the governments in all over the world knows a lot about UFOs, and they're hiding information about them, of course. Some governments adopt a more liberal position, a more liberal status and releases information like France, like some ministries of China and Argentina and Belgium. We have published information about several operations involving the military personnel from the aeronautics, Brazilian Air Force. Sometimes just making night surveillance in Amazon, and in other times even chasing UFOs with jets, like it happens in Brazil. Because what happens, like it happens in the States, I mean, because what happens is that our government collaborated to the US government for quite 30 years in the past. And they, of course, the government of the United States have a strict policy about UFO stuff, about UFO sightings, about how to report it. And it asked it, the government of the United States asked it to the government allied to it, to give it to them information about UFOs that they could gather in their countries. So it happened to Brazil. We are here on Earth is exactly what they were about 2,000 or 3,000 years ago in their own planet.
Many of the civilizations in outer space studied by Professor A.J. Gevard have visited Earth. Gevard believes they take a neutral view of people but are worried about the condition of the Earth. The reports of people being abducted and of genetic testing have taken on a new feature in Brazil. Samples of human organs and tissue have been taken as if from cattle. Medical science does not know the instruments used to carry out the unbelievably precise surgical operations.
We have reported about 20 to 25 cases in which UFOs approaching their witnesses just attack them for no reason. And sometimes these attacks result in death of the victims. And there's a very special case that we are focusing our attention in the last 6 months, which is the first case ever reported in the world of a human mutilation by extraterrestrial. This case is very, very ugly. It's a case that must be shown because it's real, but it's also a case that shocked people. The case happened, a man was found about 48 hours after his death with several wounds, cuts in the body, and with removal of many vital organs. We have connected this case to mutilations of animals that happen for 40 years all over the world and are made by extraterrestrial. Well, for instance, we have these photographs to show what we mean. This is a photograph made by the police of the state of São Paulo. You can see holes in the man's upper arm near the shoulders, and you can see that the tissues from the mandibles of the man were extracted, and the cuts were precisely done in countering the bones of the face. The eyes were also removed, along with great extensions of tissues along the head. Many holes were found, symmetrical holes, perforations were found in the man's head, throughout which were extracted part of the brain tissue. This is a very amazing picture, but it's very, very similar, fantastically similar to the ones we have taken from animal mutilated all over the world. Now I'm going to show you an even worse picture, which is this one, and here you can see clearly different holes. One of them is in the man's leg, the left leg, and one is in the umbilical area. Throughout this hole was extracted a lot of organs, like the stomach, the liver, a part of the lung, the heart, and the intestines and other organs were extracted by this hole that is not very big at all. And experts that performed the autopsies in the body concluded that it was used some sort of a sucking device, like a vacuum cleaner or something, to extract the parts of the human body. And the testicles were all cut out. And we can see exactly the same thing happen with animals all over the world. We got information of 12 other different cases in which people have been found with similar cuts and wounds all over their bodies in different locations in only 5 years.
Secret documents reveal that women between the ages of 17 and 30 have been the most frequent targets of kidnappings and of egg cell and fetus tests. The abducted women have seen hundreds of fetuses inside UFOs at different stages of development, ranging from 3 to 9 months. Extraterrestrial beings have seized pregnant women and removed their fetuses. Virgins have become pregnant, their pregnancies terminating with the disappearance of the fetus.
Certainly the aliens have demonstrated in many abduction cases an interest in human reproduction. That does not mean automatically that every lost fetus was taken by an alien. So I think that they are operating under a set of rules which says, get all the information you can, catalog, evaluate, put it all together, and when they get ready to leave, we Earthlings, they will not permit us to do so unless we have learned the rules of the neighborhood. So I think they're here for their purposes, not to satisfy us. If you were an alien, you'd be concerned. After all, we only killed 50 million of our own kind in World War II and destroyed more than 1,700 cities. You certainly wouldn't want Earthlings going out with that kind of an attitude. Just think for a minute. Last year, the countries on this planet spent $1 trillion US on things military. And yet every single day of the year, 35,000 children died needlessly from preventable starvation and preventable disease. If that isn't an indication that we have our priorities mixed up, I don't know what is. So if I were an alien, I'd be concerned about Earthlings too. That's why I do what I'm doing. That's why I've spoken at 600 colleges and 100 professional groups in 50 states and 9 of 10 Canadian provinces. There is a need for the world to be awakened, to be educated, to take a new view of how we should behave and where we fit in the universe. The time is now.